Howdy ho there, my lovies. Welcome back to Crazy But Not Dangerous. I'm Shorty Vaughn. I'm so glad to have you back in my kitchen with me here in Glendale, Arizona. Yay, hooray. It's chilly here today. We've had wind advisories all day long. We've had gusts. We've had dust storms. And it looks bright and sunny out there, but it is kind of brown and gross. We've battened down the hatches and we're staying inside, which is kind of unfortunate because I was going to smoke a rack of ribs today. But that's okay. We always have a dinner plan. We always have a backup plan. And our third plan to the backup is peanut butter and jelly, which we have plenty of. We're not having peanut butter jelly today. We are going to be sending a salute, a tribute to all of my friends in Iowa. And we are going to make, Shorty's rendition of the loose meat sandwich, the made right. Absolutely. For years, I have tried to get Andrew to love a sloppy Joe, and he just hates it. He eats it so begrudgingly, and he gives me the stink eye. And I love sloppy Joes. My mother did not make them. She wanted no part of anything with sloppy in it. Why would I make something sloppy? I mean, this is the woman that stayed up all night long pressing other people's clothes and then also pressed our clothes. Yeah, you couldn't go to school all wrinkled up when I was a kid. You had to have well-pressed clothes and you had to look sharp. You know, our clothes might have come from Goodwill or garage sale or been hand-me-downs from a sister or something like that. But they weren't wrinkly and there were no holes in them. And that was what was important to my mother. And there was no way she was meant to make anything sloppy. So I had sloppy Joes for the first time over at my friend Angela's house. Yeah, her mom made sloppy Joes. You want to stay for dinner, Shorty Vaughn? What's your mom making? Because her mom didn't make anything like my mom made. Eating over there was an adventure. Well, we're having sloppy Joes. Like, what's a sloppy Joe? It's hamburger and tomato product. It's called Nanwich. It comes in a can. You add it in, and there you serve it on a bun with a piece of cheese and some pickles. There you go. And I fell in love with sloppy Joes. I went home. I told him we had sloppy Joes. What's that? And I told her, and she, nope. I'm not making anything called sloppy. It's just not going to happen. So I thought, well, when I get married and I have my own house and I'm making dinners, I'm making sloppy Joes. But I married a man who doesn't like them. So the other day we were watching Roseanne on Cozy Television, and he said to me, what's a loose meat sandwich? And so I explained what a loose meat sandwich was to him. And he said, oh, well, that sounds good. I said, how is that different than, the sloppy Joes that I try to get you to eat all the time? Like, it doesn't have the sweet tomato in it. Like, oh, see, I wasn't asking the right questions all these years. When I just don't like sloppy Joes. Well, what don't you like about them? You like burger. We eat it all the time. I wasn't asking the right question. What he did not like was the sweet kind of tomato ketchup-y taste of a sloppy Joe. Now I got it. Now I understand. So then I made a round of loose meat sandwiches using an authentic recipe from a true person from Iowa, and he loved it. And so when I told him that I was going to be making loose meat sandwiches today, he was just, okay, sounds good to me. You let me know. Dinner's not going to be late. No, baby, dinner's not going to be late. I am playing a little bit of a trick on him today because I want to make this loose meat sandwich a little bit more budget friendly. I also kind of want to stretch it out, not only for dinner tonight, but for lunches for the rest of the week, because, we've got, we're cooking some ribs, and those are not always my favorites for lunch. For me, lunch should be quick and easy and convenient. Maybe something you can even eat on the go. And, ribs, they're so sticky and you can't work at your desk and do your things and what have you. So I want to stretch these loose meat sandwiches out for lunches this week. And I also want to make them more budget friendly because we only serve 3. But I have, like my sister Jackie, she's got 7 kids. I don't know how she affords to feed them all. Anyhow, what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be cooking some lentils. Lentils are a legume, kind of like a bean or a peanut, and they don't look like much. And honestly, on their own, they don't really taste like much either. They're just kind of meh, they're bland. But that is one of the beauties of a lentil, is because it is so neutral in flavor that it can lend itself to a lot of different flavors. It can just kind of suck up those good flavors and be delicious. And adding them to beef is just one of those great ways to stretch your dollar. So I'm going to be using ground beef because I got some on sale, $2.77 a pound. But I am going to be cooking up 2 cups of lentils in my instant pressure cooker because I've rinsed these, but I did not soak them overnight. So just like beans, for the best lentil, you would rinse them, go through and make sure you don't see any rocks and what have you, and then soak them for, at least a couple of hours, preferably overnight. You could simmer them on the stove. You could put them in your crock pot. You can put them in your instant pot. But, we're just going with the instant pressure cooker because I'm lazy. There we go. That's the fact of the matter. So I have 2 cups of lentils. I have 1 hearty piece of garlic. That's a big one. I have 1 bay leaf in here, and I have half of an onion, which I have not chopped or diced or anything, because once we have completed cooking these lentils, I just want to pick this stuff out because I'm going to roll this out into the rest of my meal, into my loose meat sandwiches. Hello, Iowa. All right, let's go. So I've got 2 cups of lentils. These are just brown lentils. And let me tell you, these are cost effective. Over at my Albertsons, which is my most expensive grocery store generally, I picked up this bag of lentils. It was a 32-ounce pack of lentils for $3.29. So that brings it to like, what, $1.65, something like that, per pound for lentils. These are full of vitamin A, niacin, potassium, protein, fiber. Yeah, they've got all of the good things in there. They are super good for you. But their biggest drawback to them is that they are bland. And that is also their biggest benefit. So, and you cook them just pretty much like rice. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. I have 4 cups of water, 2 cups of lentils. Let's go put them in. There are my lentils and my onion and my garlic. There we go. 4 cups of water, or chicken stock, beef stock, vegetable stock, shrimp stock. Hey, whatever stock you got. I got water today. I have 1 heaped teaspoon of Better Than Bouillon beef flavored, and this is going to be my salty element in here. Otherwise, I would add, at least 1 teaspoon, maybe 2 of salt, because remember, lentils are incredibly boring. They're just incredibly boring. But we'll get that all dissolved in there. I'm going to cook these on high pressure for 15 minutes and then allow them to do a natural release, pardon me. Here we go. All right, and those will be ready probably in about 30 minutes. Okay, well, while those lentils are cooking, let's go ahead. And earlier today, I cooked some macaroni. And I just wanted to make a nice macaroni salad to go with tonight's dinner because I love macaroni salad. It makes me feel very celebratory because, I always make it for family dinner. I make it for all the holidays. I make it, and you know what? We just are going to be celebrating the fact that we made it through Monday hot diggity. So there we go. So I've got maybe that's 16 ounces of macaroni that I cooked up. Got a little bit of fresh celery here, all washed up, ready to go. It's ready for its debut. Yay, hooray. So, yeah, we're having loose meat sandwiches. I got to tell you a funny story, though, about my brother-in-law. This cracks me up. My brother-in-law, Danny. That's Sherry's husband. Anyhow, I made loose meat sandwiches when they were here, and he enjoyed it and had two, and, you know, thank you very much, yada, yada, yada. It's like, they're kind of like Sloppy Joes. And I'm like, no, they're not. Andrew explains, no, they're not like Sloppy Joes. He said, you know that sandwich, it's a big old ripoff. I said, how so? And he said, well, I was walking down the aisle, and I was looking for canned meats, and I saw a manwich, and have you ever looked at the can of manwich? I'm like, yeah, I've looked at a can of manwich. I've bought plenty of cans of manwich, because sometimes I just make Andrew suffer. So, what's the deal here? Well, I bought 10 cans because it was on sale, 10 for $10. And do you know what happened when I got it home? I have no idea what happened when you got it home. Well, I opened up a can thinking that I was going to go ahead and use it to make chili. And when I opened it up and poured it out into the pan, and I was going to add some stuff to it and make a chili, there was no meat in it. Can you believe that? And so, yeah, I had to go dig the can out of the trash and look at it. I looked at it, I got my glasses on, I read the ingredients on the back, and do you know what? It has no meat in it. Why doesn't it have meat in it? Now, this is something that I have contemplated over the years. Like, why don't they sell a can of manwich, you know, with the ground beef already in it, just for quick, I mean, everything else is quick, easy, and convenient. Why aren't they selling the can of manwich with the meat in it? Anyhow, I said to him, so what did you do with it? He said, nothing. I didn't do anything with it because I didn't know what to do with it. And so it just sat in the cabinet until it expired, and then I threw it away. And I said, really and truly, like, you didn't try to give it to a neighbor, you didn't take it down to the food bank, you couldn't nope, I was too mad to do anything with it, and I was too mad to take it back, and too mad to throw it away. It was just miserable, and it just sat there for 2 years. So I thought that was hysterical. Got some black olives because I like them. And these cans were on sale, I believe, for like $1.50 or something like that. And I wasn't willing to pay like the extra $1.50 for ones already chopped up because I'm too cheap. And yeah, plus gives me a time to spend with all my lovies out there. How are you babies all doing? Are you making it through Monday? Are you having a hard day? Did it go all right? I know some of you are freezing to death. My friend Jackie up in Maine, she cold. She already told me today. It's cold out here. I don't know what, it was like maybe 6 degrees or something like that. I can't even fathom it. Yesterday, it got up to 83 degrees or something like that. Today, it didn't even get to 60. And so, we're a little bit chilly. Like, I had to close the windows. And I put on real pants instead of shorts. But, so that's it. Okay. So there's a story for you. So when I was in the 3rd grade, long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, when dinosaurs still roamed the earth, when I was in the 3rd grade, we were having a spring pretty much like this one, where one day it's like almost 90 degrees and the next day it's cold. So we had a string of days where it was almost 90 in February. Ooh, we're coming to full pressure on that instant pressure cooker. Yay, hooray. So we had a string of days in February where it's like almost 90 degrees. And all of my friends were wearing summer clothes. Shorts and t-shirts and summer dresses and the whole 9 yards. You know. And I am so envious because it's almost 90 degrees. And my mother sent me out in, like, you know, tights and a skirt and a long sleeve sweater, you know, for cold weather. And I'm hot and I'm miserable. Anyhow, my mother always laid out my clothes the night before. This is what you are going to wear. There were no deviations allowed because when you went out into the world, you had to be well pressed, your clothes had to match, and you were a reflection on my mother and her parenting skills. And she took these responsibilities very, very, very seriously. So she laid out your clothes, almost like until I was 12 years old. And finally, Mom, I think I got sense enough to pick out my own clothes. So she would lay out your clothes the night before. There was no conversation about it. That's what you put on in the morning. And there was like an inspection before you left the house. You get all your clothes in the right order, underwear on the inside, your shoes tied, that kind of thing, teeth brushed, hair, straightened, ponytails. Yeah, she loved little girls and ponytails. Oh, we all had them. So I've got a little bit of the roasted red peppers here, trying to work my way through this jar because we've got so many condiments going on in that refrigerator. It's ridiculous. So I'm just going to give these a little chippity chop. I really wasn't a rebellious or defiant child. I know it sounds like it was, but I'm the first person to always tell on myself. So, yeah, here we go. Yeah, it had been a beautiful spring, all these warm days, and I'm stuck in a sweater and my brown, orthopedic shoes and everything. I had it. Yeah. So the next day, knowing that my mother is not going to let me wear what I want to wear, what I decide to do is I have this brand new summer dress with little tiny spaghetti strap kind of thing, and it's bright and it's floral, and I packed those and my Mary Janes into my book bag, into the bottom, and I put on the clothes that my mother wants me to wear, and I look outside, and it's pretty gloomy, and I'm thinking, anyhow, so my plan was that I was going to get out of the house, and then we were going to walk to the bus stop, and I'm going to stop at one of our neighbors' barns, and I'm going to change out of the sweater and skirt and orthopedic shoes into my Mary Janes and into my bright summer dress, and I'm going to go to school, and I'm not going to be hot, and I'm going to look like all of my friends and what have you. And I'm walking down the street, our dirt road, and I get to the farmer's, our neighbor's barn, and I go inside, and I take off my other clothes, I slip on my dress and my Mary Janes, and put everything in and behind a pile of hay, because they were taking all these clothes wouldn't now fit, and my bulky clothes wouldn't fit in my book bag. So I put them all behind a pile of hay, and the thought process is I'm going to come back this same way, so I'll stop here and put my clothes on that I left the house in, and then, my mother will never be the wiser, and I will have had a wonderful day wearing my new dress that she won't let me wear, and, not wearing, heavy winter clothes. So I'm walking from this barn the rest of the way to the bus stop, and it's cold that day. It's cold, it's dreary, it's gray. There is no sun, and now I am underdressed and I am cold. But there's no time to run back to this barn and put my other clothes back on. You're just going to have to deal with it. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't going to be so bad, because once I get on the bus is pretty warm, and then I'm going to get into a classroom, and then all I really have to do is worry about staying warm at recess, but I can just go hang out in the library, and it'll be fine. No problem, right? So I get to school, and my teacher kind of looks at me, and all of my friends have warm clothes on, and it's just me that looks like a big dummy. Anyhow, she looks at me, like, you a little cold there, Tanya? No, I'm fine. As my teeth chatter, and you can see the goosebumps on my arms. Got a little bit of sweet pickle relish. Dill would be fun. And she just looks at me. And then we go out for recess, and the library's closed. And yeah, she locks up the room, so you can't go back into the room until recess is over. The library's closed, and now I'm really cold. I'm a little bit blue. It turns out that was the coldest day of the whole year where I grew up in Cave Creek, Arizona. Some mayonnaise. Anyhow, we come back from recess, and she's looking at me, and she's shaking her head, and she comes over to my desk, and she says, "Does your mother know that you got out of the house with that dress on?" And I lied. I said, "Of course she knows." She looked at me, and she wasn't buying what I was selling. She goes over to the Lost and Found, and I swear, she picked out like the ugliest sweatshirt. Dirty and ugly and smelly. The ugliest thing that she could find in there, probably also the warmest thing that she could find in there, and brought it over to my desk and said, "Put this on, and I can't teach with your teeth chattering and you're turning blue. Put this on, and I don't want to see you out of it all day long." So I put it on because teacher said to, and she was kind of a stern teacher. And I put it on, and now I'm miserable because, this ugly sweatshirt, and I'm wearing my beautiful new sundress, some dill, some mustard. I'm wearing this beautiful new sundress, and and now I've got this ugly, stinky, smelly, lost and found sweatshirt over top of it, and now I'm really miserable. It's more miserable than being cold. A little bit of parsley flakes. I've got a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I would prefer red wine vinegar, but we don't have any, so we're just going to go with what we got. Can't go over to the Albertsons every time I run out of something. So some, I may or may not add more. We'll see what happens. Go ahead and give this a stir up, see if I need more mayonnaise. What do we need? Anyhow, so I have to go through the whole day with this sweatshirt on, and she tells me to take it home with me and bring it back washed. Because she knows what I've done. She knows. She knows that I have disobeyed, that I have pulled a fast one on her and my mother, and now I'm going to be punished. And she was not wrong. So I get off the bus after school, and I go to the barn, and I get my clothes on, and I put my orthopedic shoes on, and I walk the rest of the way home. And when I get home, my mother is sitting at the dining room table, smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, and you could just see the steam coming up over her head, and she was furious. And I come in, and I'm like, "Hi, Mom. Where's your clothes? Where's the dress you weren't supposed to wear that you went to school in today?" And I know better than to lie to my mother. I mean, the teacher could have maybe given me a whack or two, but my mother could do some real damage. So I'm not going to lie to Mama. So I pull it out of my book bag and my Mary Jane's, and I hand it to her, and she's like, "And where's the sweatshirt?" I pull that out of the bottom. "Now I have to wash." "What is this? You wore this all day?" I'm like, "Yes, teacher made me wear it all day. You defied me. You wore clothes that you weren't supposed to. It's the coldest day of the whole year." And anyhow, I got in big trouble, and I wasn't allowed to pick my clothes out after that till I was almost 12 years old. And even then, you still had to pass inspection. So I wasn't a defiant child, but every once in a while, maybe a little mischievous. But yeah, I came back the next day to school with a clean sweatshirt, and my teacher, everybody's back in shorts and a t-shirt because it was like 90 degrees that day. I'm just sitting there with beads of sweat running off of me because, I'm back in a skirt, a long sleeve sweater, that kind of thing. And that's just the way it was going to be until I was 12. And then I guess my mother figured when I turned 12 that if you don't have sense enough to pick your clothes, then she's going to be putting them out for the rest of your life. So this spring is very much like that. There we go. I finally circled all the way back around. There we go. And the fact that it's almost 90 one day, and then today it's not the coldest day of the year, but it feels like it. It's a brown day. because the dust storms just get going and the sand and it's everywhere and you can see it billowing in underneath the doors and windows and what have you. So still working on this red onion. Glad I chose such a large one. Okay, hooray. And I want very thin slices of this. I could almost grate it, but honestly, I'm too lazy to wash the grater, so yeah, just as thin as I can get it. That'll be fine. But yeah, that's how I got into trouble, and my mother was mad, and the teacher was mad, and I was uncomfortable and cold, and I guess I learned a lesson. Personally, I don't think that I needed to be punished because I had had a whole day full of punishments, in my opinion. My mother did not agree with that logic. So, there we go. Woo, but boy, my mom could get mad. And she had this look. Like we were out in public, and you know, you had already had like a whole car ride full of instructions on how to act when you got wherever it was you were going. And she had this look. I mean, if you even got out of hand a little bit, like if looks could kill, you'd be just dead on the ground. My mother, queen of the look. So, I don't know. That's a few tablespoons. More or less. Whatever. Whatever you got. Ooh, we're done. Stir this up. It's going to need some salt. It's going to need some pepper. Going to need some seasoning, that's for sure. There's a little pepper. Little salt. It's going to need a little bit of Splenda. So 1, 2, I reserve the right to add more. My macaroni, so I'll do with it whatever I want. Get that all stirred up. If that doesn't look rich and creamy enough for you, you can add some more mayonnaise, or you could even add a little splash of milk to it. That would be just fine. Mine's looking pretty darn good. Let's take a taste test and see how we did. Tangy. Delicious. Maybe just a tiny bit more Splenda. We'll say 3 teaspoons. And I think that looks great. Gonna get this in the refrigerator so we can get that cooled off for dinner. I have a nice large onion. That's where I'm gonna start off my loose meat sandwiches with. And get this all chippity chopped up. Yay, hooray. Now my mother was mad. Not only because I had defied her. Not only because I had lied to her. Not only because I had lied to the teacher. But also because the teacher called her and basically shamed her as a parent for letting me leave the house on the coldest day of the year in a sundress. And honestly, that's probably what really tipped the scales, because my mother really prided herself on her ability to raise up a big old bunch of youngins. So there we go. That's probably what did it. Boy, that's a tough one there. It's really stuck on there. Huh. So yeah, my mom was mad. She got over it. It was something that we laughed about, you know, years later. it took a long time. My mom could, she didn't have any problems with her memory. Let's just put it that way. All right, so I just want to give these a little dice up. Now, for my, fellow Americans, my Iowans, I think that might be what y'all are called. I am taking certain liberties with your recipe, and sorry, but yeah, certain liberties with your recipe. I read probably about 25 recipes, all claiming to be the authentic loose meat sandwich. And you know what? I think so long as you've got onions and some beef and you put a little bit of love into it, just make it your own. Next time, I would probably make this Southwestern and add, maybe like a little bit of cumin and a little bit of green chilies. If it was hatch chili time, I'd be adding some hatch chilies. We should be coming up on hatch chili time. I'm ready. Plain vanilla grandma knows all about it. Yeah, she loves herself some hatch chilies as much as I do. Anyhow, jalapeno would be good. I probably will serve some of that pickled jalapeno on the side just for Andrew and I. Loose meat sandwiches. I love that whenever it is election time, whoever stops in Iowa, they're always presented at that town or what have you with their version of the loose meat sandwich by some lovely woman who has made, this future candidate a loose meat sandwich. I think that's lovely. I don't know what we would present a future candidate here with in Arizona. Maybe tamales? A Sonoran dog. If you've never had a Sonoran dog, it's a hot dog. They have these little stands in various around town where they can buy a Sonoran dog, and it is a hot dog wrapped up in bacon, and usually it has like chili beans on it, and onion, and jalapeno, and pico de gallo, and sour cream, maybe Mexican street corn. You never know. Anyhow, it is just piled high, but it is wrapped in bacon, and they are delicious. And that's a little heartburn on a stick. I'm going to cut about 2 tablespoons of butter to saute these onions in. There we go. I'm going to put that, I don't know, like on a 6. Not worried about it. That's a pretty good sized onion. And I don't want to cook these down to nothing. According to all of the recipes that I read, that they should still have a little bit of bite in them, even though it is my instinct to seriously caramelize these. So, somewhere in between. I want a little bit of color on them, but I don't want them to be just soft. So, fingers crossed that we get there. All right, I'm going to clean up my mess. My lentils are almost finished with their natural release, thank goodness. And I hope that you have heard me over all of that noise. I just never really thought about how noisy that electric pressure cooker is. It's a hot mess. All right, so I have a little bit of color on my onions. I think that's going to be perfect. I'm going to go ahead and add my ground beef now. So I have about 1 1/4 pounds of ground beef in this bag, and we're just going to cook that all up. Get that mashed up really well, I'm going to trade this spatula for that spatula for a wooden spoon. Help me get that all mashed up. those lentils are perfectly soft. They are ready, and they are going to be delicious. Now, I say that I'm tricking Andrew. When I pull fast ones on my loved ones, I'm always very cautious about, like, nobody in my household is allergic to legumes. Nobody is going to have an adverse reaction to it. But if I told him that I was stretching my meat out with lentils, he would give me a look. And I want him to enjoy this. And I can tell you that he's not going to know the difference one way or the other. And that's part of also, like, really breaking apart your hamburger so that it is in smaller pieces in a similar size to a cooked lentil. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm pulling a fast one, but I'm not worried about it because I really don't think that he's going to know the difference because we are making such a flavorful combination. And that's really the worst part of a lentil is how bland they are. And you don't have to worry. He doesn't watch my channel. He doesn't watch. He doesn't tune in. And I'm just fine with that. That was actually kind of the deal when I started doing YouTube, that I really just, if he wanted to watch, he could, but I would prefer that he didn't. Because, he's got ideas. He's got ideas, and Andrew is very sarcastic, which I think is hysterical, and it plays well with him. Sarcasm is not something that I necessarily do very well. And, It just doesn't look good on me. But he's sarcastic. I think he's funny as all get out. He makes me laugh every day. And, he always has little sarcastic remarks that he thinks that I should say, or you should do this, or you should do that. Like when we're talking about like my meal plan and what I'm going to be showing on YouTube, or what my video is going to be, or what have you. He's got ideas. He can just keep them. All right, I've also got a can of French's onion soup. Because I'm stretching this, I should have gotten 2. Thought I had 2 in the pantry, but apparently I only have the 1. So I'm also going to be adding just a little bit more of that Better Than bouillon and some yellow mustard. So there we go. I'm not adding any salt to this mix because that can of condensed soup has plenty of salt in it, and I don't think it's going to need it. But let's add some fresh ground pepper. Because I think everything's better with a little bit of pepper. Oh, but here's an interesting thing about pepper. So my friend Kim cannot tolerate black pepper. It upsets her stomach. But she can eat white pepper. So if you ever have had that happen to you, have you ever tried white pepper? I don't prefer it because it is a much more mild flavor. And even in recipes where a white pepper, like a bechamel, for example, would require white pepper if you were, a real French cook. I'm not. Don't even play one on TV. I don't even play a French cook on YouTube. But this ground beef is looking pretty good. That's what we're looking for, is those smaller crumbles. That would be the word for it. You could add bacon crumbles to this. I wouldn't say no. But we're already adding lentils. So I have about 2 cups of the prepared lentils. Boy, those are steamy. And I'm going to go ahead and just add that to my hamburger mixture. Get on out of there. I paid for y'all. I want to eat y'all. There you go. No stragglers. Get that incorporated with your beef. But lentils are great. Okay, so we're making loose meat sandwiches with them today. But if I was doing this and I was going to be, let's say, bulk preparing taco meat, then I would have added, you know, a pepper, some onions, some cumin, all of the things to my instant pressure cooker to flavor those lentils. If I was going to be using them, you know, to stretch maybe like a Cajun meal, well, maybe then I go ahead and put, you know, the Trinity in there, you know, some celery, some onions, some bell pepper, a little bit of, you know, like a ham bone or something like that. Oh, a ham bone would have been good. Oh, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and add this whole can of French onion soup. One of those packets would probably be just fine as well. Oh, that smells good. And see, here, let me bring you down to Funky Town and I'll show you. See all of those onions and that beef and everything in there? I don't think that once this is done, that he's going to know the difference about those lentils. And I'm guessing that at your house, if you didn't tell anybody, nobody would know either. Yay, hooray. Let's go ahead and give it a little taste and see if we're going to need that better than bouillon. Okay, I want just a little tiny bit of the better than bouillon. I also want to add a little tiny bit of water because I do want this to simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes so that those lentils can pick up all of that really good beefy taste. I have about half of a can of the, about half a can of water. There we go. Hello. And a little bit of this beef better than bouillon. If you had the Knorr beef, that would be fine. And maybe half a teaspoon. That's what I'm going to put in there. Just so that I know it has enough of that good, rich beef taste to it. Yay, hooray. That's going to be fantastic. But yeah, lentils. Maybe you just like lentils. Good for you. You know, you could make them into, you could prepare them now, and then you could cool them and make a nice lentil salad with them. I can see that being really good. I think that lentils for breakfast could be fantastic, you know, with some maple syrup and some butter and milk. My all-time favorite breakfast is the breakfast that my mother would occasionally cook. So if we had rice for dinner, my mother would cook like 5 pounds of rice. It was an enormous amount of rice because she knew for like the next 3 days what all of us kids would want would be a bowl of hot rice in the morning with milk and butter and sugar. And that is still my absolute favorite breakfast under the sun. That and Eggs Benedict. Do you have a favorite breakfast? What's your favorite breakfast? Tell me down below. I want to know, baby. Okay, so this is looking fantastic. And it's got all of the onions and the onion soup and the beef and the lentils and everything else. And I'm going to let this cook uncovered for about the next 20 or 30 minutes. Let that just mix and mingle, and yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Yay, hooray. I can't tell you the smells. The smells are just unbelievable. I'm going to turn this down to about a 3. I'm going to turn it down to a 3 and just let it do what it does. Clean up my mess. Clean as you go along, baby, so you don't have so many dishes after dinner. After dinner, all I want to do is sit there and, you know, we watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, and then right now we're watching Frasier. So, yeah, all I want to do is sit there and watch Frasier, and while we watch television, I fold clothes. I get the clothes down off of the line in the laundry room, or in the garage, pardon me, the laundry room. My garage has kind of become the laundry room. I get my clothes out of there, and then I just sit there and I fold clothes and, you know, do that kind of thing. Andrew's allowed to fold towels and wash rags and napkins. So he's actually quite good at it. Oh, I forgot to put a little mustard. I'm going to put a little mustard in too. Why? Because I like mustard. I think mustard is good. Mustard adds a little something. Now, if it was just me, I would put some ketchup in there too. But, you know, I got the peanut gallery. And I'm already kind of fooling him with, you know, the addition of lentils. So he'll never know. I promise you, he will never know. So while that's still simmering away on the stove, I went ahead and removed the rest of the lentils from my electric pressure cooker, and I ended up with a whole mess load, and that's just fine with me. I will hide these in the refrigerator. I will figure out a way to bulk up a dish now. If I can't figure it out this week, then I will put them into the freezer, and we will be enjoying those another time. But yeah, I made 2 cups worth, and I put 2 cups in with my ground beef, and I easily have maybe 2.5 cups worth for another time too, because economics of motion. It costs just as much to run 1 cup in that Instant Pot as it did 2. So, you know, might as well make some for now, make some for later. Yay, hooray. And they're just good. They're just delicious. Right, we are ready for prime time. Yay, hooray. I have some really nice soft buns that I've taken out of the freezer. Got these on the discount rack for about 99 cents. It's an onion roll. Probably a hard Kaiser roll is what's more traditional, but this is what we have. So we're going with it. I also have a 1/3 scoop because I believe that this will make 9 sandwiches on a 1/3 scoop. So that is a good size portion, I think. Got a piece of mild cheddar cheese, because again, that's what I had in my refrigerator. And there we go. Yay, hooray. I think that is good enough to eat. So with the sandwich, with the macaroni salad, like I said, I think this will make about 9 1/3 cup portions, which is bigger than a 1/4 pound burger. So yay, hooray. You're getting all kinds of meat in there and all kinds of fiber and lentils too. With the macaroni salad, with the buns, with the cheese, with everything else, we're coming in at about $10 for the entire thing. But this is a very good bargain lunch because that's about $1 per serving. And we're not suffering here. There's all kinds of good stuff in there. That macaroni salad is going to be fantastic. Smells so good. And yeah, I'm going to serve it with pickled jalapenos too. So there we go. That's what's for dinner tonight. Now, we're not done yet because I'm going to come back and let you know if I pulled off my lentil experiment. Shh, don't tell. All right, my lovelies. Well, honestly, I fell asleep before Final Jeopardy question was even asked. I didn't get it right. I don't even remember what it was. But I did get dinner right. And I'm going to take a win. A win is a win is a win. They didn't even know that there were lentils in that loose meat sandwich. And Andrew had seconds. It was a complete smash. I've got tons of leftover lentils. I've got tons of loose meat sandwich. That macaroni salad was just delicious. Yay, hooray. So we've got lunches for the week. Spent about $10 on the entire meal. And that's just good math. Yippee skippy. All right, my lovies. I love you. Be good, be careful. Look both ways. You know what? These dishes, trash, that's going to have to wait for tomorrow. I'm going back to bed. But I love you. Be good, be careful. Look both ways. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Crazy But Not Dangerous. Bye now.